Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Roads Out of Warba podcast.
It's a podcast.
The forecast.
It's this new thing. It's great. You're going to love it.
I'm looking forward to it.
The Four Roads Out of Warba podcast. I almost butchered it again. Featuring the Warbashop Quartet. I am Tippy Tater Alligator. Also with me are three other fellow distinguished gentlemen. We have Bawb, Bort, and the esteemed Dudu.
I don't think anybody's ever described him as being esteemed, so he's pretty proud of that. Yeah, I wouldn't say one of them things, broccoli.
Well, it's a thing now. So,
thank you.
Dude. And the topic this week is going to be vehicles. Now, I kind of got this idea for a couple of reasons. Well, it kind of plays off the title of the podcast, and I figured, there's lots of ways to get out of Warba, but taking a vehicle is probably the most practical.
True.
Yeah,
Has anybody left Warba besides in a vehicle before?
I don't know. We've kind of walked to Warba before, but
Yeah, we've walked there, I remember, but I haven't.
More like the Shell Lake gas station. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what all the people in the cemetery are doing.
Mm.
Maybe they're digging a way out.
Well, right now they're cutting trees down because there's a couple big trees that fell over and just missed Grandma and Grandpa's headstone by about 2 feet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the ones right next to Dick and Eileen's. It's about 10 feet
Okay.
from them, and blew over towards our Grandma and Grandpa. Yeah, so they're probably cutting wood, when nobody's looking, having bonfire.
I'm sure when it fell, Grandpa said, "Hey, leave us alone."
Would you mind? I'm sleeping.
I'm sorry, Tippy. Sorry about that. We got
No. Good anecdotes. Yeah, where was I, in fact? Okay. Yep. And that's a lovely intro video created by Bawb. I was before we started the podcast when you asked me, "Hey, what year was your old high school car?" I'm like, I think it was a 91 or 92 or something, and then kind of forgot about it until I'd seen the video. I'm like, that is awesome.
Aluminum.
Yes. Any memories about? I'm pretty sure that will be mentioned at some point here.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
But, so yeah, we're just gonna do kind of the same format as last week. I have a question or an opinion. We're just going to go around the table.
Okay.
And I think we'll just start off right away. So I'm going to ask everyone, what is the first time that you can remember being behind the wheel of a vehicle, having your hands on the steering wheel and actually controlling it? Let's start with Bawb.
Oh, I don't think it was the time Dudu's probably thinking of where he almost died. I think it was before that. My dad in Warba on Felix Road in Warba in his green, what were those cars he had, Bort? He had two of them, the silver one and then that red one.
The Citations.
It wasn't the Citation, yes.
Yep.
Yes, that red Citation. Driving down the gravel Felix Road, sitting on Dad's lap. driving that. That was the first time I think, drove a car. And then he actually shifted over, and I got to actually drive myself. I was like 6 or 7. So it was pretty cool.
Nice, nice. Why don't we go to Bort next?
The first time I remember, I'm going to have to tell the story, Andrew. I guess that would be the first time I can remember being behind the wheel.
That was the first time. All right, go for it.
That I can remember, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a time when I can't remember if I was behind the wheel, but there was the time when Bob and I were really young and we put a car in a ditch at Grandpa's. But I think that was Bob doing that.
Why'd you throw me under the bus? You were the old one. You're supposed to be watching after me. My shenanigans.
I was like 4.
Yeah, somehow
okay.
The vehicle got put in the reverse, and we ended up driving backwards into the ditch. So.
And thankfully the ditch and not right through Highway 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were definitely driving that time with me, so you can use that.
Okay, so first time I was behind the wheel of a vehicle, Andrew, I don't remember, doo-doo, I don't remember how old we were at the time. Bob and I were youngsters, and Andrew had this beautiful blue Ford pick-em-up truck. Yes?
It was my first truck ever. It was a 91 Ford 3/4 ton. It's the standard cab. Had a 6-speed manual transmission. Just a beautiful truck.
Okay. I don't think I've ever gotten to tell this story before. I've always heard you tell it, so this will be a little different. So Andrew takes us into this wide open parking lot one day. Takes us into this wide open parking lot one day and decides to teach Bob and I how to drive. Bob was all excited about it, and so he's like, okay. And so Andrew hops out of the car, opens the door, and standing right beside the standing by the driver's side right there with the door open. And he goes, okay, now Bob, you just give the truck a little bit of gas, and then we'll just start driving along this parking lot nice and slow. So Bob does it, and he gets ready, and boom, puts the pedal right to the floor of the pickup and starts taking off. Andrew freaks out. He's like, no! And he starts chasing, trying to keep up to Bob as quick as he can. And he's like, put on the brakes! And Bob uses his foot, and boom, the brake goes right to the floor. That truck slams to a stop, and Doo-Doo goes running straight into the car.
I can still see
left open. He's like, okay, Bob, you're done.
My thinking is if I stood there and let them, lift the clutch out, and if I could, be standing right there and something happened, I could put my hand on the clutch and stop the truck. But not when Bob was going 70 miles an hour.
So Bob got kicked out. He's like, Bort, if that is your real name, why don't you hop into the front seat now, and you can have your turn. And he goes, man, oh man, that was a mistake having Bob go like that. So Bort, I'm going to teach you how to go in reverse. So he's standing there next to me, on the pavement, and he goes, okay, now what you do is you just gently put your foot on the gas, and it'll make the truck go backwards. And I'm like, okay, I won't slam my foot down on there and everything. Well, it's a good thing I didn't. I only put about half pressure on, because that truck took off backwards as fast as it could go. And there's poor Doo-Doo all of a sudden seeing this car door coming straight at him, and now he's running backwards. Trying to keep from running from the truck running him over.
The dad almost died from my own truck.
Yeah, and I slammed on the brakes eventually and saved your life.
You did. Thank you. Thank you.
Did I get the details correct on that story?
Yeah, I was basically trying to get how to grip a stick and get used to a clutch and stuff, and you had that part down, revving it up and letting it out, but yeah, you got to teach you a little speed control. Yeah, Tippy, that day that the boys were driving my truck, I worked at a asphalt company in South St. Paul, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. We did our own rock and stuff for driveways, and we had a big quarry. And yeah, I thought it would be fun just to bring them down there. They couldn't hit nothing, just big piles of rock.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was the day I was going to die.
Was that the same quarry where you had to take a bathroom break and the hot air balloon dude saw you?
No,
Okay.
That was in Hudson, Wisconsin, at our yard when I worked construction.
All right. Well, we got Bawb back, and we'll continue on with Doo-Doo.
All right, sir. Oh, my grandfather had an old GMC pickup that he used for snow plowing, and it was, I forget the year, but anyways, that's what I remember, driving that around in the yard down in Warba. In fact, he used that, and Bob and Bort, your dad used that old GMC pickup you had in Torrey Old House. Yeah, that's what I remember. Old, I think it was like a 69 or 70 GMC pickup that I used to drive around the yard there. And
yeah, I don't remember. Did he have that one thrown in the back of the woods somewhere?
Nope. I think he sold it to that guy. I forget his name. It don't matter. But that guy used to go hunting with.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What about you, Tippy?
I guess first thing I can remember is kind of similar to you guys, or with my dad probably having me in his lap, and we're driving the old brown Ford Ranger pickup around, and obviously I couldn't reach the pedals, but he let me put my hands on the wheel, so I could feel like I was driving,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Was that at your old place next to the house where you're at?
Yeah, most likely. Or either that or the place where I'm at now. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I just lied to you guys. That's not the first thing I can remember driving. First thing I can remember driving was my mom's boyfriend had a 181 Alice Chalmers tractor that he used to, we used to go do chores with. And yeah, that's what it is. He used to sit on the fender when he wouldn't let me drive, and I'd sing, and he used to get mad at me because he thought something was wrong with the motor. But
that's when you know you have a good singing voice.
Great, that's great.
Yes. All right. Well, that was very good. Now, these next two questions, I've been debating on which one to ask first, but I think I've decided to go with this one. What was, right after you got your driver's license, what was the first vehicle you were driving around in, on a regular basis? I mean, it didn't have to be something you owned. It could have been mom or dad's car, whatever, just whatever you kind of first, kind of called your own when you started driving. We'll start with Bort first.
Bob, what do you think is the correct answer for me? Would it be Mom's van or the Spectrum? Because technically I had my license for about 4 months before this. I got the Spectrum, but I never drove much.
The van, probably, because the
Okay.
van is where I have my horrifying...
Wait. I'm about to tell that story.
That's what I say. That's my first memory of you driving something. So.
Okay. So I really didn't care about driving. I mean, I was 15, 16, and I didn't really care. I didn't want to do it much at all. But eventually, I turned, I was 16 and a half, and I finally got my first job at Target, and my mom didn't want to drive me to Target every night. And so my dad won my Chevy Spectrum. I'm sure this will come up later, but he won the Chevy Spectrum in a golf tournament. But it had a straight stick, and I didn't know how to drive that yet. So we drove up to Grand Rapids, and on the way back, we had to get that car down so I'd have a vehicle to drive. Well, my first vehicle that I drove, in the little bit I drove, was my mom's van. Bob, do you even know what kind it was? And Bob is being Bob. Okay, we'll just go on without him while he, yeah. Anyway, we had to drive back from Grand Rapids down to the cities, and it was a 2-hour drive, so I didn't know how to drive a straight stick, so I was going to drive the van back home. My mom was driving behind me, and I had Bob. I was driving. Bob was in the passenger seat. My 4-year-old sister was in the back, and we're driving back on I think it was 65, Highway 65, and Mom had told me that there was this specific spot that we were going to stop. I don't know if it was a gas station or a restaurant.
Go ahead, Jason.
And anyways, I didn't know where it was, because I didn't have a good interpretation of distance, when it was my first time driving. I wasn't really sure how far down the road it was. And it just so happened that it was right around a corner. And so I'm driving about 50 miles an hour because I was terrified to drive the speed limit because that was just too fast for me. And we get around this corner, and all of a sudden I see this place on my right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the turn. I need to make it. So I did the best I could to put on the brakes, and I turned. And I remember Mom telling me that she saw this, and she's like, oh my gosh, he's not going to make this turn. So I made the turn trying to get into this single wide driveway to get into this gas station, and I missed and went straight into the ditch.
Oh no.
And as I'm taking the van down into the ditch, I'm screaming, oh my gosh, I've killed us! I've killed us! And it was just horrible. My mom pulled up behind us, just kind of shaking her head, and she they got somebody, there was a lot of people coming home that weekend, so they had somebody be able to tow the van out, and miraculously, even though it was a ditch with trees and stuff like that, no damage to the van. So we got out of it damage free, and I'm like, I'm not driving home. I can't do it, Mom. And she's like, you've got to. There's nobody else that can drive. I can't drive both cars. So I needed to finish the drive home after putting the car in the ditch, and I'm even more scared than ever. I had to have been driving maybe 45 and a 55 the rest of the way home. I remember one girl passed me in the car. As she passed, she honked the horn as she passed me, flicked me off, and then held up hands going like that, saying 55, So yeah, my first experience first vehicle didn't go that well. And if we get into the Spectrum didn't go well either at first, but we'll get into that later, hopefully, if Bawb enables us to actually complete this podcast.
Okay, excellent. Well, we got movement. We got movement.
Can you guys see me or hear me?
We can hear you, and you look extremely creepy.
Well, what else is new?
No, this is more than usual. This is serial killer peeping in the window.
Yeah. This is the borderline pedophile looking through the window.
Let's see here.
Oh my god.
Borderline pedophile, what's that?
Borderline.
That's just a peda. I don't know.
But you guys can hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see it, but I can hear you fine. So
Okay.
yeah,
Sounds-
just keep going. Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep going. Doo-doo.
Yes, sir. I would have to say the answer to that question is that Pontiac 6000 that my mother had that big mouse tried to run me off the road in. That was the car that when I first got my license, that was that was the car that I drove around to work, and when we'd come up north here, I'd drive that around until the mouse took me out.
Okay, well, I'll go next then. My first vehicle was a 1985 Chevy Celebrity station wagon, baby blue colored.
Rush getter.
It took me all of 3 weeks to get in an accident. Not my fault though. I remember I just got back from returning a movie, and I was going right downtown my hometown, and there was a rainstorm going on, and I was approaching the four-way stop, and someone pulls out of the post office and kind of T-bones me, so I kind of swipe their front end, and they just boom, drive off. So
Nice.
and then I don't know. I was probably only driving that vehicle for about a couple months or so, and then there was a couple instances where I'd be driving and would just die on me, and so after that, my folks got a new beater car for me, and that ended up being the infamous aluminum. So, but we might get back to that later. Bawb, you're up.
Yeah. It was actually, I think, Jason's old car. What was the Bonneville? Was it a Pontiac?
Yes.
Yeah, Pontiac Bonneville. My stepdad and mom bought that, so they let me drive that around. And it didn't take too long before I disappointed him. Me and my buddy decided it'd be a good idea. We went and got some pizza. And then we were driving down the road at like 10:30 at night. I had the extra pizza sitting in the leftovers sitting in my passenger seat. And I decided, let's throw this pizza outside. So, we idiots, we throwing the pizza slices outside and didn't really think much of it. And I go home, go to bed. And then my stepdad wakes me up at about 4:30 in the morning, demanding to know why there's red stuff all over the side of his nice white car. And I'm like, I don't know. And he looks at me like, dude. So I threw pizza out the window. And just the look of disappointment that I got so much growing up. Yeah. But again, I don't know why I thought it was a good idea, but I threw some pizza outside the window. So that was my story.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah. Yes, he wasn't happy.
The look of disappointment.
Yep, the looks of disappointment.
Uh,
Can you guys see me
track
all
how
or
many?
not?
Nope. We should keep track how many times we hear the words "looks of disappointment" during this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good. Okay, moving on. Now this one kind of takes place around the same time period. what vehicle did you take your driver's test in, and how did that go? We will start with Dudu.
Good. It was the Mousemobile. That's what I've come to call it now. The Mousemobile. That Pontiac 6000 that my mom had. Went good. I guess the biggest thing that I can remember was 30 years ago. The guy that taught driver's ed in high school was also my 9th grade football coach, and he got drafted out of college by the Packers, and he ended up playing a preseason for him because at the last preseason game he ended up blowing his knee out, and back then, there wasn't a comeback from that there is now.
So he got drafted by Packers. That means he wasn't that good.
Good thing I can't see it, Bob. And so it was always cool to sit and talk to him. But he drove me there that morning, I remember, and then Mom in a school car, and then Mom showed up with the Pontiac, and I took it, and yeah, everything went well. And then to get my CDL, 3 years later, I had to do that in a semi truck, and that was a little more interesting because you had a trailer behind you, and I took out quite a few cones that day. But yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, nice. Okay, I will go next. I took my driver's test in my parents' Ford Aerostar minivan, and I was kind of familiar with driving that because when I had my learner's permit, Mom would let me drive that one a lot. And if I can remember right, I think like a 95% on the driver's test. I think my parallel parking was just a little bit off, but everything else went just fine. So
Cool.
Nothing too crazy. Bob, how did your driver's test go, and what vehicle did you use?
Back when I was 16, I just got made my appointment. I was so excited to be able to go into the driver's place. My mom took the day off of work, so we drove down there. Got super excited, walked up the front line, told the lady I was ready for my driver's test. She goes, "Okay, perfect, just need your birth certificate." And my heart sank, and I looked at Mom, and again, that familiar look of disappointment because I forgot the one thing I needed to bring, and she wasted a whole day taking off of work for that. So I'm sorry, Mother. So then 2 days later, we had to drive all the way across to Egan, which is about 30 minutes away from where we were compared to about 5 minutes. And then I did my test, and I got a 100%, which will come up later, but I did phenomenal. I believe he said legendary was the word the guy used, but I don't like to brag. But I drove my Ma's. Did she have the Regal then? Or is it the Bonneville? I think it might have been the Pontiac Bonneville I drove for that. So yeah, that's my story.
If you got legendary status, what has happened to your driving since then?
I am a professional driver. Thank you very much.
I hope you're going to tell that story about the fast food place.
Oh yeah, it's coming. I know it will.
Yep. Okay. Oh, it'll come up. But that's why I said this is the 100% is very important for that story.
Gotcha.
Anyways, yep, that's all I got for that one.
Good. Thank you, Bob. Bort, I believe it's your turn.
Okay, so my gosh, all these professional drivers here passing their first tests. Well, it's a good thing Bob didn't go to Hastings, because Hastings had a reputation for being the most difficult place to pass a driver's test.
Why? The whole state.
In the whole state?
In the whole state, right?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
It was the only one I know that they do on the live streets compared to, a closed course in the area. And so I did my test And I don't know if I would have passed or not, but the final part was parallel parking. And I backed into a snowbank. So needless to say, I failed. And then a week later, I went and took it in Egan on that closed course, and I passed. I don't remember what score I got, but I passed. But considering they passed me after backing into a snowbank, you know, maybe Bob's on 100% isn't as impressive as he thinks it is.
Hey. Probably, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's great.
Okay, moving on here. Now we talked about our first vehicles. Let's go on to what do you currently drive, or what would you call the vehicle you drive the most, anyways, on a daily basis? Let's go, Bob first.
So my wife gets the nice vehicle, and I got my 2005 Ford Freestar with transmission slippage, and half the doors don't lock. But besides that, it's a good vehicle.
Perfect.
Gotcha. Bort.
I'm driving a 2010 Dodge Caravan. I had a nice Honda Civic before the divorce that I was really loved, but I have the kids, so I got to keep the Caravan. So yeah, I'm driving that about 153,000 miles. It's in good shape and just got the air conditioning fixed, so can't complain.
Hey, do you think if you were a judgy old lady and you drove that, would be called a Karen van?
Oh, dude.
Oh,
Thumbs up for that one.
Yes.
I like it.
good dad joke. Good dad joke.
Thank you.
If only your technology skills were as good as your jokes.
Okay. Doo-doo.
I'm driving my mom's vehicle, which was her dad's vehicle. It's a 2006 Dodge Caravan. 101,000 miles on it. So nice for those vans are handy. They're very nice. I like.
I know. What about you, Tippy?
For my well, I drive my work truck a lot. Currently, I guess that's a 2020 F-150, but my personal truck is a 2012 2500 Ram. It just hit 100,000 miles on it, and I wasn't even driving it when it hit 100,000 either.
Who was driving it?
My dad was. We were actually bringing my work truck up to Bemidji so it could get shipped out here, and I just let him drive my truck, and then we dropped my truck off in Bemidji and then took my truck back. So.
Okay.
Yep.
What color is it, Matt? I'm all about trucks.
Oh, it's white.
White. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Let's go on to a fun one. What is the worst thing that you or someone has spilled inside your vehicle? Let's start with Bort.
I'm going to need to pass for a second. I got to think about this one.
Okay. You got an idea, Dudu?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. It's like, pick me.
I was in Northern California. I had to go up there and get a load of walnuts, and they have to take them off the tree, put them in the packages, and then sort them out and stuff, put them in the packages, throw them on a pallet, throw it in. So this thing took like 3 days, And or no, it was 4 days. On the second day, and I couldn't go nowhere, so they would bring me food and everything like that. And I'd use the little porta potties that were in the fields. And the second day I was there, I ran out of chew, and I was struggling because addiction. And I got loaded on the fourth day. I barreled out of there. I thought I'm stopping at the first place I can see, grab a can of chew. So I there's a little mom and pop on the top of a hill, little bitty gas station. But I stopped there, took up the whole road, and went in and paid probably $6 more for a can of chew than I should have. But I got back in the truck, let the clutch out, started going through the gears, took the lid off the can of chew, hit a bump, spilled it all over the front of in the cab. Like I didn't even get a chew out of it. Just dropped it right on the floor.
No.
Yeah, that made me cry.
Bob, pizza doesn't count because that was technically on the outside of the vehicle.
Yes.
Oh.
So, I mean, I've spilled a lot of stuff in my car, but it's nothing, horribly crazy funny. But I used to work at a car dealership, so I cleaned up a lot of stuff that people spilled in their cars. And it was later in the night, probably like 7, 8 o'clock. And it was in the body shop. They brought the car, put the car in there, and had me to clean it. So I scrubbed the front of it, opened up the back, and I saw that the back was really, really dusty. And I'm thinking, what did they do here? So I'm vacuuming the stuff up, and then I see a box up front in the back seat, like towards the back seat area. It was dumped over, and there's the dirt coming out of there. I'm like, oh, what's this? So I go tip the box up, and it was the cremated ashes of somebody had spilled all over the back seat of this car.
Oh,
So, yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I just kind of threw the box back up, tilted it back in there, and kind of let her be. Cleaned up what was in there and pretended it didn't happen.
oh, dude.
So maybe I had the guy's like leg bone and maybe his collarbone or something like that in my vacuum, but yeah, so that was the worst thing I've had to clean up from getting spilled in the car.
Were you just dying to get done with that job?
Well, after that I was.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Are you still thinking, Bort, or would you like me
Nope,
to go?
I got it. I was driving home from Mackinac Island. My ex-wife and I had went out there for our honeymoon, and on our way back, we were driving through the middle of Wisconsin, middle of nowhere, no bathrooms anywhere, and we find this one random gas station, totally out of a horror movie. We go in there just needing to use the bathroom, and there was a sign on the bathroom that said, "Bathroom is for use of paying customers only." I'm like, are you kidding? So I went and just bought a small, 16-ounce jug of milk. And, that was it at the gas station. Took off, started driving, take that first drink of milk, and I dropped the bottle and spilled it all over me in the front seat of the car.
Oh.
All my clothes from the trip were already dirty, of course, and I'm covered in milk, and it was disgusting. No place to really change or anything like that either, because we're in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah.
Did it start to stink after a while?
I can't really remember all that much, but I'm assuming so.
Yeah. Is that why you got divorced? No. Well, say your clothes were dirty. Okay, I get it. I get your clothes are dirty, but you're covered in milk. I would take a dirty shirt over that, I would think.
Well, yeah, but it's all packed away too, in the
No, I
trunk
would.
and everything.
If I
And
pulled
that,
over-
that would have been the thing too, is the trunk. It was my Impala. We had bicycles on the back, so you couldn't open the trunk easily.
I
So you had to tear the whole structure down to get back in there.
My question, I guess, is why didn't you take your clothes off and wring them out back into the bottle so you could finish the milk? It's good milk. You don't waste good milk. Come on.
Oh,
You paid good money for that.
oh, dude, that'd be so gross.
I got nothing.
Yeah, you can't don't spill milk. I decided. Okay. All right. I guess I don't know if it's the worst, but it was pretty bad. So freshman year of college, my school is about 1 hour from Canada, and when you're 18, you can legally drink in Canada. So every now and then, me and some buddies would go like up across the border. There's a bar like right on the other side of the border, and the border guards are used to people going over all the time. They'd be like, well, we need to do is show our IDs. Both sides are like, oh, going up to the pub? Yep. Okay, be safe. It was just easy as that. Anyways, on this particular trip, I was the sober driver, and so we're up there, having fun or whatever. On the way back, this is the middle of December, up northern Minnesota, North Dakota, Canada area. And we get back across the border. We're about half a mile down the road, and I smell booze coming from the back seat. I'm like, oh, I was hot. I flicked the lights on. I'm like, which one of you idiots brought booze back with you, And I look, and the guy that's sitting in the middle in the back is sitting there passed out with puke and chew spit all over himself. We had to drive back all the way back to Grand Forks in -20 weather with the windows down.
Oh.
Oh, did your buddy clean it up for you at least?
That's the thing. He wasn't even my buddy. He was like my roommate's buddy. I didn't even know the guy.
Try and be careful. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awful.
Okay. Let's see, moving on. Let's see, what else do we got here? What are essential items that you keep in your vehicle? Stuff that you know you're gonna need. Let's see, let's see, Doo-Doo, why don't you go first?
I need glasses to drive, so a pair of glasses. Keys. Keep some tools in the back. I keep a pair of jumper cables, because you just never know if you're going to need them or if somebody else is going to need them. Not that I've had to use it with the minivan yet, but a pull rope, just in case. Got a little container full of animal crackers down there in between the seats, just in case. Yeah, that's about it. That just some tools, some survival stuff, tools and jumper cables, and yeah, that's about it.
I would say myself, yes, those are items that I usually always have in my toolbox, as well as basic tools. Like, I think it's always good to have like a socket set or a like a screwdriver set, a couple wrenches, in case you need to tweak anything. Yeah, I'd say maybe like some beef jerky in the center console, So.
Absolutely.
The only problem with keeping beef jerky is in your car is you can never keep it in your car because you're always going to run out.
Well, what kind of beef jerky?
Ooh. Currently, my favorite beef jerky is No Man's Land.
What is it? Just the original, or do you have like the spicy or peppered or what?
All of it's good. I go between the original and the hot.
Okay.
It's good stuff. Okay, next let's go to Bort.
Okay, driving the minivan with the kids, there are changes of clothes for each of the children that are kept in the trunk just in case. Always keep napkins and Kleenexes in there as well. And, all the stuff you guys mentioned, I don't have everything, but, a lot of those items are. I'm just not going to mention them. Couple other things that are in my car. Typically, I have an extra can of Dr. Pepper in there. I don't know why. It just a full can sitting in the center console, ready in case I ran out.
Warm can of Dr. Pepper.
I don't mind drinking soda hot. I never have. So, it's not in there anymore in my van, but in every other car I ever had, I had my authentic original 2001 XFL football that I always kept in the trunk in case a football game randomly broke out. And then the last item in the glove box of my car, there is always ketchup packets. And that's because when you have kids who eat a lot of French fries at fast food restaurants and they want ketchup with their French fries, about 50% of the time the restaurant gives them to you. If not, you're going to have very upset children about having to eat their French fries without ketchup. So anytime I get the ketchup, I save the spare packets in the glove box in case of an emergency.
Do you want to start saving extras for you?
Sort of like I do with the Taco Bell taco sauce.
Well, Jace or Bort, have you run into the thing when you've asked for extra ketchup packets for all the kids? They give you like 3. They used to be, they'd give it out like like they wanted to get rid of it. They just give you armfuls of it. Now it's like it's gold. They just won't give it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob.
So the bare essentials I have. Well, if you looked in my vehicle, you would think it would be old French fries and Paw Patrol toys. But unfortunately, that's just chaos and children. But the only thing I really make sure I have on me, I like to have a phone charger just in case. And then my vehicles aren't, my one's not as fancy, so I can have my FN transmitter too, so I can transmit my phone onto my speakers. And besides that, I don't really have any other bare essentials I need. I throw a bunch of crap in my car, one size fits all for whatever you need type of thing. So I'm sure you could go in there and find something if you guys need anything buried in there somewhere. But I don't do that on purpose to have it as I need it. I just do it because I'm lazy. I don't like bringing coffee cups in and stuff. So.
Gotcha. Okay, the next one is being that we're from northern Minnesota, there is a large deer population, as I'm sure you all know, and they are probably the biggest menace on the road as far as I'm concerned. Let's see, have you ever hit a deer or been involved with an accident with a deer? And what can you tell us about that? I think I will take the lead on this one. I've been in 3 incidents involving deer, but the first one is where I've only actually hit it head on. So I was coming home from work one day, or one night, I should say. This is like 1 in the morning. I'm tired, want to get home. I'm just leaving Brainerd, and it goes down from 4-lane to 2-lane. This deer just runs out right behind a sign. I think I was driving a little Chevy Corsica at the time. I hit it, it goes flying over the hood, and my car comes to an immediate dead stop. So I get out, I look back, I don't see the deer. It was pitch black out, anyways. And all of a sudden, from the other way, I see this large conversion van come to a stop. And then this guy gets out, starts walking towards me. And then I'm like, I recognize him. I went to school with this guy. You know, he's like a couple years younger than me, but didn't really know him very well. And he starts talking to me. He's got kind of a little bit of a lisp in his voice. He's like, hey, what's going on here? Your car seems to be emanating steam. And they're like, yeah, I just hit a deer, man. He's like, oh, holy smokes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to fire it up, see if the engine turns. So I turn the key, engine fires right back up. I'm like, well, I'm going to try to limp it home. He's like, okay, see you later. Never seen the guy again. Never saw the deer again either. So that's my story. Bort, would you like to go? Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So I've never hit a deer. I don't think I've ever actually hit anything. Nothing I've ever actually felt, anyways. I've had some close calls with some squirrels, but I don't think I've ever actually hit them. But I will say that whenever I'm making a long trip, I do play a game that I call Roadkill Bingo, where I just see how much roadkill I can find along the way, see which animal leads the way.
Is it better now?
I wasn't talking or anything, you know. Yeah, I just enjoy, seeing if I can identify the animals, or if they're unidentifiable, I just call them hot dogs. There.
Nice. All right. Bob, are you online?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yep. So I've never hit a deer. Got very close. Tippy, I don't know if you remember this, but probably I was 17, maybe 18, and our buddy Tony, I'm sure we all know him. He probably listened to this, so hey, buddy. But we decided that we wanted to. You were at our place in the cities, and we said, hey, why don't you hang out for a few more hours, and we'll just give you a ride home. So we decided, me, you, and Tony, driving his shaggin' wagon, the old Ford Taurus station wagon, drove that back to drop you off. It was like 2.5 hour drive. And we're cruising down some back road, 1:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden, out of the darkness, there's this deer standing right in the middle of the road. And Tony did the best swerve evasive action I've ever seen in my life. He swerved right around there. I could have reached out the window and slapped the deer. We were that close. So he swerves around, swerves back, and just keeps driving. But the funny thing about it, we were so tired that we didn't even make a sound for about 5 minutes after it happened. Then I just looked over to him like, you almost hit that deer. He's like, yep. And that was all we talked about it the whole time. But it was just, no reaction for like 5 minutes. All of a sudden, like, oh, yeah. So that's the closest we ever had, or I already had a deer accident.
All right. Right on. Doo-doo?
I have hit a lot of stuff with vehicles in my life. Never deer. I think the only animal I've ever taken out was was a wild turkey. But never deer. I had a buddy of mine once. We were cruising through Casper, or just south of Casper, Wyoming, and an elk ran out in front of him, and he took that out. We didn't have much of a semi truck after that.
No, I bet. Wow.
But the closest I've ever come to hitting something though was me and a buddy of mine were leaving Missouri, and we stopped for lunch. We got up to southern Iowa, and he goes, "Hey, let's stop at Waterloo. I forgot my coffee cup in the urinal there." And like, all right, cool. So I needed fuel anyway, so we stopped there in Waterloo at a Flying J. I got fuel and a pop. He got his coffee, and we get back. It was nighttime. We get back in the trucks and take a right, start heading down the entrance ramp onto the freeway. And this guy come off of the shoulder of the road, a human being, walked into the slow lane and then turned towards me and put his arms out like he was crucified. And I whipped the truck over in the left lane and then whipped it back into the right lane to get the trailer to come around. And my buddy said I couldn't have missed him by like a foot. And that messed me up for a while. I could, see his face and stuff. But the next week, yeah, that was scary. That was pretty bad.
Well, I remember you called me right after that happened. You're like, dude, guess what just happened here? And you told me that. I'm like, oof, that's horrifying.
Yep. Yeah, and then the week after, kind of finished that story. The week after, him and I were at the same truck stop having lunch, and I was talking to the waitress about it. And I guess a couple days after we went through, he did it again to a van full of kids, and they instead of hitting them, they went down in the ditch, hit a tree, and killed them all.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with people, but if you want to do that kind of stuff, don't take people with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, no deer.
All right.
I'm a depressing story.
That story is more depressing than Bawb right now.
What's wrong with me?
I'm not very happy with you right now. That's all.
We can hear you fine. We can hear you fine if you don't have your camera on.
All right, I'll keep my camera off. Yeah.
Okay. Where can we move on from here? I'm surprised I'm the only one that's actually hit a deer. But anyways,
I was in a car when with Jim when I hit one, or he hit one, but never me driving.
Because I almost hit about 5 every day on the way to work. That's just every morning for me up here in northern Michigan. Goodness, it's terrible.
Well, now we're all gonna smack a deer next week.
Bawb deserves it after what he's putting me through.
All right. This one's just basically yes or no. And if yes, feel free to tell the story. Have you ever picked up a hitchhiker? Bort.
No.
Bawb.
Yes, we've been married for 18 years now. No, I'm kidding. No, I have not, but I've gotten picked up a couple different times because when I'm driving up to our campsite here, I always have bad luck, and I've had my vehicle break down a couple different times. And people up here are very nice, where they will actually give you rides to places. Because in cities, you don't trust anybody; think they're gonna murder you, so you don't pick people up. But here, I guess they're a lot more trusting because they picked me up and drove me to a place to get the parts for my car that I needed and got her rolling great. But I have never actually picked up a hitchhiker.
I have never picked up a hitchhiker either. Well, I guess you could say I have, but I already knew the guy, and he kind of looked homeless anyway, so I guess that's about as close as I've come.
Bawb, what were you doing out there?
Do?
Do prostitutes and truck stops count?
Are we going there?
No.
I'm got to the truck stop. I mean, with this conversation.
No, I never have.
Well, yes, you have, Andrew, or Dudu.
I have.
Remember? Well, I was kind of a hitchhiker. Remember when I had an issue with my car and you had to come over and save me?
That doesn't mean you're a hitchhiker.
You were just. Oh, you mean with that red thing you had?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to run my get my truck service, semi truck serviced at Green Kenworth in St. Paul, and they couldn't do it on, I think it was a Friday afternoon or something. So I called Bawb to see if he could give me a ride to River Falls, and he said, yeah, I'll be right there. Well, like an hour later, he wasn't there. So I called him, and here he got in a flat tire, and so I disconnected the truck and went and rescued him. I think we went to Target for some jack stands, and then we went back. But the problem was is his car was so rusted underneath that everything you put underneath just went up through the floor. So the jack wouldn't work, jack stands wouldn't work. So,
Well, that's
yeah, I
what
guess
happened.
I picked you up on the side of the road, Bawb.
Yeah, because I thought I could take care of it, but I put my vehicle up. It was a Ford Taurus, this rusted old thing, and I put it up on the jack that's included with the car, and then it dropped and broke through the floor. So my jack was stuck, wedged up through my floor against the tire, and I didn't have a jack that I could get because mine was wedged in my vehicle. So I had to call Dudu to come pick me up. So here I am. I'm terrified that I'm not gonna be able to get anything done. I'm not gonna be able to have anybody pick me up, and all of a sudden, like a superhero, Dudu comes flying in this big old semi and rescued me.
I did. I did. You didn't have to cry though. I remember that.
I cried hard.
Yeah. I just remember turning into that Target in what would that be on in White Bear. At Target, yeah, and with that truck I had and the people staring at us.
I know.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. What area or city have you experienced the worst traffic in? I'd like to hear Dudu first because you've been everywhere.
Well, anywhere along the East Coast sucks because it's overpopulated and most of the areas are extremely old. You get into like upstate New York and stuff, and all the old towns where the telephone poles are like 6 inches from the curb of the roads, and driving up through there is kind of rough. But Chicago is difficult because of the traffic and the fares. Everything, everywhere down there. If you want to get somewhere reasonably fast, you got to pay for it because of toll roads. LA, there's just too many people. There's 6-7 lanes of traffic both sides, and the traffic is just horrendous. And it's so spread out that you're in that traffic jam forever. I would have to say the place that I hated driving the most was Atlanta. Atlanta was, I don't know, they're somewhere between getting ice storms every once in a while and 90-degree weather, so they don't have snow plows or nothing like that. So you're either dealing with a ton of traffic, some bad roads, or they're also like a loop we have around the cities. It's 6 to 7 lanes both sides, and yeah, traffic's pretty bad in Atlanta. Yeah, I mean it anywhere you're high, you have high amount of people, you're gonna have bad traffic.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Bob, what do you think?
So worst I've driven in. I mean, I haven't driven in a lot of bad traffic. I mean, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I mean, that's the worst I've driven in. But the worst I've been in was when I went out with Doodoo, trucking for a week. I went out with them, and we went to Chicago. And that was just so much. I've never seen that many cars. And we were like 45 minutes outside of Chicago. I think we were in one of the suburbs.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was telling me, oh, this is nothing compared to, getting up a few 10, 15 miles. And I'm just like, what? Because I just couldn't believe how many cars there were. And people didn't know how to drive either. Cutting across 7 lanes of traffic, cutting everybody. It's just horrible. But
Yep.
yeah, I'd probably say Chicago.
Gotcha. Bort?
I again, like I haven't driven through much. If I was to say anywhere that I've driven, it would be Apache Junction, Arizona. Just a lot of old people and 6-lane highways, both sides. It's a bad combo. But the worst I've been in would be Orlando. I remember a family trip we took down there, and Jim was driving,
Yep.
and he was a pretty crazy driver back in the day, and even he was terrified being on those roads with all those people. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would definitely agree with Doodoo. Chicago is one of the worst places in the country, and I try to avoid it if at all possible. Even last summer, I was kind of in the suburbs area up there, kind of to go up to Joliet every now and then. And that's enough for me, Otherwise, it's been many years since I've been through Chicago, but it's left a lasting impression. Another one of the worst spots I've been to is Buffalo, New York, where it just takes everywhere or forever to get anywhere. From the campground I was staying at to our lay down yard for work in the morning, it was 10 miles away, but it would take 45 minutes to get there. And it's kind of got a loop around it like Minneapolis, St. Paul, but it's smaller. It's like the same population crammed into about a quarter of the size. It was terrible driving around there.
And then another big problem with Buffalo too is you get that in the wintertime, you get that lake effect snow.
Yeah, thankfully I avoided the snow. I got out of there like the end of October. So
yeah, it's pretty nasty around there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, and I don't think Denver's too fun to drive through either, because people drive about 90 miles an hour, and especially when you're getting up into the mountains. I mean, they don't slow down getting into the mountains either, even if it's snowing. Just I've never been so terrified in my life, and somehow I still keep going out there. But I think we've covered everybody for that one. Okay, this is an either-or question. Bort, Batmobile or Flintstone mobile?
Batmobile.
Bob?
Oh, you gotta go Batmobile.
Doodoo?
Flintstone mobile, because I need to exercise, and that would be a good way for me to get exercise.
My guy. I'm gonna go with Flintstone mobile too. It's just a classic, I mean, it's about as classic can get, right? It's like the original classic.
Me and Bort will race you two then. How about that?
Well, I think you might have us there. So. Okay. Okay. If you had a custom horn on your vehicle, what would it play? Bob.
Oh, I think I'd probably have it go, you'd honk it and go, I think that's it. Because you can go the classic, get out of my way, Bob. But no, I think I'd have something that would put a smile on somebody's face, because honking a horn, it's usually not a good circumstance. So at least he can make it a little fun. I'm a fan of that.
Nice. I like it. Doo-doo?
Just a big old wet juicy fart. Yep.
Enough said. Bort.
Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber, the most annoying sound in the world.
And what would that be, Bart?
Oh,
What about yours?
the one I was gonna do was once again a big old wet juicy fart. Well, maybe like take out the juicy part of it and just a big old fart, you know. Maybe just a big old dry fart. But let's see. I think I would do something a little more ominous, like have like the bells from For Whom the Bell Tolls, you know.
Yeah.
That's Metallica, right?
Yes.
It could be. I don't know. I'd have to.
Maybe if you're confused about that, maybe you should refer back to our first podcast where ranked all.
Link in description up in the corner.
Hit the thumbs up and don't forget to smash that like button.
Great. Now I get to try to figure out how to do that.
Then share this video with your friends.
Yes.
Share it with your friends. Share it with your enemies.
Share it with everybody.
Okay. Let's go on to does anybody have any stories about being pulled over for a traffic infraction? And if not, have you seen somebody else pulled over and had a story about that? Anything to do with the traffic infraction, we can go either way here. Let's see. Want to hear from Bawb?
From me. I've gotten pulled over probably 20 times in my life. I've gotten 3 tickets. The most recent one was about a year ago. I got a speeding ticket. And having to tell my boss wasn't cool. I didn't like to have to go, hey, guess what? But she was pretty cool with it. But no, I haven't had any bad times I've gotten pulled over. All the cops been cool with it. I haven't had anybody screaming at me or anything. I did get pulled over one time in Grand Rapids, during Bort's graduation party. Our buddy Tony, we were talking about earlier, me and him were responsible for bringing all the alcohol back to my dad's place. So they loaded again, because he had the station wagon.
You need alcohol at a Bort party.
Yeah. So they threw the cooler. It was a big, one of the long hot dog coolers. It was full of beer. And then, of course, we get pulled over. I don't even know what he did. Couldn't find his wallet. So cops in there digging around, helping, trying to find his wallet. And we got a whole cooler full of booze in the back. He's 18. I'm 16. But he didn't glance through. He didn't open the cooler, look in there, and he just let us go. I forget what he even got it pulled over for, but that was the only time I had to actually get out of a car and have people like search through a car and stuff like that. But otherwise, yeah, it's been pretty boring on my end with that.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, myself, I have a fairly good driving record. The last time I got a speeding ticket was in 2011, I believe. But I did get pulled over for speeding. The last time was just before Christmas, 2018. I was working down in Oklahoma. We were getting 2-week break for Christmas. And so I start off back home the first day, and I make it to Kansas City, and I realize I didn't shut the water off in my camper. So, and it was going to get cold too, so it was a guarantee the lines were going to freeze and probably break or something. So I had no choice but to drive back because there's nobody left back there that could turn my water off for me and empty my lines. So that was 8 hours of wasted driving, getting all the way back there. Just empty my lines, whatever, and make sure everything is ready. Okay, I'm like, I'm gonna start over again tomorrow. I'm gonna wake up at 4:30 and take off. Well, so I get up in the morning, make myself a cup of coffee, go out the door, and I'm still half asleep. I make it to about the Missouri border, and I can't remember if I turned the heater off or locked the door. Because like I said, I was about half asleep when I left. So I'm driving for about another half hour, and my anxiety is just killing me. I turn back around and go back to make sure that the heater's turned off and the door's locked, which they both were. So back home again. Oh, and I missed the speeding part because when I was coming back from the Missouri border, coming into Tulsa, I was going about 90 miles an hour, and I got pulled over. And kind of briefly explained to the officer or the trooper, I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to get back home. It was a long day yesterday. It's going to be a longer day today. Got about another 14 hours of driving. He just let me go with a warning. So,
Thanks.
All right. Doo-doo?
Oh, I've been pulled over a lot. Some got tickets for, some not. I guess one of the stories that comes to mind is I went to Dallas, Texas, and dropped off a trailer full of something, and then my return load was for the U.S. Mail Department or U.S. Mail, whatever. And what that was is you go to a U.S. Mail distribution center, and they load you up with like different cities' mail. And so I had like Dallas, or I had a stop in Dallas, I had a stop in Oklahoma City, stop in Des Moines, and then the last stop was in St. Paul. So I take off out of Dallas and I get to Oklahoma City and I drop that off, and it's nighttime now. And I'm getting tired, but I knew that if I could get to Kansas City before a certain time, that I could get that one off too, and then I could get out of the city before rush hour started, or I could even drive up to Des Moines if I could to unload in the morning, and I'd be home that much faster. Well, I was between Oklahoma City and Kansas City. It was like 11:30 at night. I've been up for like a day and a half, or almost 2 days, and just driving, trying to get stuff done fast as I could. And I get up to, there's a scale just outside of Kansas City, and I honestly, I don't know if it was open or closed, because I kind of dozed off. No, I'm sorry. I went up to it and it said open, and somewhere between the open sign and the ramp to go into it, I must have dozed off or something, because I kept going. I drove right on by. And when I came to, I was about a half a mile past it, and there's a cop trying to pull over. And so I pulled over, and he goes, "Hey, give me your license, registration for the truck, and your logbook." So I hand it all to him, and he goes, "Oh, can I see your other logbook?" I looked down, and there was, back then you had to you could drive for 10 hours, but you had to have an 8-hour break. And there's 3 8-hour periods in 24 hours, so I would run 3 logbooks. And that way I could always drive if I did get caught. Well, that time I got caught. And so I looked down and I seen the X on the corner that I had made. Oh, not crap. So I just grabbed both, the other 2 I had, and handed it to him, and he starts laughing, and he goes, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Kansas City, trying to get there before they close." And he goes, "Tell you what," he goes, "Well, let's shut the truck off and come back and sit in the squad car. I'm like, all right. So I did. And I don't know, the reason this one sticks out to me is because he was the coolest dude I think I've ever met. And the fact that he was serious about the job. He was serious about how stupid I was being. And we just sat there and we talked for a bit. And he said, I tell you what, he goes, I understand you guys have a job to do. He said, I understand you cut corners. He goes, I'm gonna do you a favor. He goes, I'm gonna let you go. He said, but you're not going any further than Kansas City. He said, I'm gonna give you my card. He said, and when you get to where you're going, he said, you put that in the window, between the window and the weather stripping on the back. He said, and then he said, I live, when I'm off duty, he goes, I live probably a mile from where you're going to be delivering. He said, I'm going to drive by early in the morning and make sure you're there. He said, if not, I have your information and you'll be in trouble. I'm like, all right, good deal. Well, I'd had enough when I got there. And besides, from sitting with him and getting pulled over, I missed my opportunity to get that drop off. So I went to bed. I woke up the next morning and his card was in the same spot. And he goes, thanks for, there on the back, he said, thanks for doing what you said you do. And he signed his name and stuff. But yeah, that's probably the most, just because the guy was cool, Been in a lot of scale houses where the guys weren't cool. But that guy was pretty decent.
Nice. Bort?
I've only been pulled over 3 times in my life. Most recently was about 5 years ago for a burnt out turn signal that I did not know was burned out. And you just let me go with that. The second time I was 17 and I was trying to get up to Grand Rapids and I was driving straight. Sun was setting and it was straight in my eyes and I didn't see the trooper sitting along the road driving 63 and a 55. And he let me off with a written warning, which I thought was all cool until my mom, apparently somehow the written warnings still find their way to the insurance company. And my mom found that out eventually and was pretty upset at me. But the first time I got pulled over, again, I was 17. I'd just gotten my Chevy Spectrum, and I don't know if I'm going to get the story in, but I was struggling to learn how to drive a straight stick. My mom gave me a few lessons, but I had to figure it out then. And it was a struggle learning how to drive that thing as I went. And so I had this little trick, because if I stopped the thing, it was about a 50-50 chance if I accelerated, if I was going to kill the car or get going. So I kind of got into this bad habit of doing rolling stops at stop signs to keep the car going. Well, I was driving through St. Paul Park and I did that rolling stop and there was a cop there. On top of that, I was right by an elementary school that had just released the kids.
Oh boy.
Cop pulled me over and he said, dude, that's really dangerous. And plus, there's a ton of little kids here. But in spite of all that, he let me off with the warning, just a verbal warning. And I'm thinking I'm in the clear. So I drive home and my mom goes, so Jason, how things go today? And I'm like, fine. And I think I'm gone and I'm walking out of the room. She goes, so do you want to tell me about what happened in St. Paul Park? I'm like, what? You see, my stepdad, Jim, he has a police scanner in his house. And wouldn't you know, my mom just happened to be home earlier than normal and happened to be downstairs folding laundry and happened to put this police scanner on and just happened to hear that they were pulling over a light blue Chevy Spectrum.
Wow.
And she was able to figure out that I got pulled over. And, me trying to be goody two-shoes kid, I was, oh my gosh, I was terrified. Yeah.
Right on. Right
Look
on.
at disappointment.
Never.
Okay. We've got a couple questions left here.
Okay.
Does anybody have any interesting drive-through experiences?
Thank you, there,
Wait.
Tim. Thank you.
This question seems a little pointed. All right.
All right. We're just gonna go ahead and start with Bob because everybody wants to hear Bob's.
Okay, can you guys see me?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see if this works. So, all right. So, rewinding back to, I got 100% my driving test. I'm a good driver. My stepdad, he keeps getting brought up in this bunch. Jim does.
Mhm.
He was working overnights, plowing roads and parking lots and all that. He was just working hard. I come home from school. Poor guy's downstairs. He's just exhausted. And I thought I was going to be a great stepson. I'm going to go to Wendy's, get something to eat. And I said, hey, stepfather, sir, stepfather, would you like something? He goes, oh, I'll take a bacon cheeseburger or whatever. So spare no expense, because he's worth it, because great man. So I get to use his truck, his brand new Chevy Silverado truck, because he trusts me, because I got 90% on my. Oh wait, no, I got 100% my driving test. Yeah,
100.
and he knew that, so he knew he could trust me. So I drive down, get in the parking lot, and I see my buddies inside. So I'm like, oh, I'll just go inside and order. So I went inside and I ordered, and talked to him for a few minutes, and get back out to the truck. And it's January, by the way, in Minnesota. It's icy, snowy. It's just gross out. So I get back in my stepdad's truck, and I'm 16. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how to drive a truck. I don't realize that they're actually like kind of powerful. So I get in my truck, back up, drive around the fast food driving area, and right when I get around to where the drive-thru window is, I just push the gas a little bit, and that's all I did. I didn't slam the gas on trying to fishtail or anything, but I fishtailed, and then so my back end flies away, and then my sheer horror, I see the window to the drive-thru getting closer to me and closer to me and closer to me, and all I can see is my stepfather's face on that wall, giving me that look of disappointment, getting closer and closer, and boom, crash right into the wall. Go back up. I'm horrified beyond everything that I could be right now. Back up a little bit. Then the Wendy's employee opens up the window, kind of leans out. Hey, did you hit the building? So I back out, get all the way, and my stepdad, I call him, hey Jim, kind of crash your truck a little bit. What? Yeah, I hit the front end on the fast food restaurant. Well, what's damage on it? The whole thing. So he comes down. He's got a truck that he's using for his work. So he comes down. I'd hit it in such a bad spot where it pushed the front fender into the tire. So he has to grab a chain and rip the fender off his truck so he could drive it over to the auto parts store next. So he, for some reason, wasn't happy. And we get it over to the auto parts store, drive back home, and by the time we get home, I bring in the Wendy's I got for him, and he didn't eat it.
Can you believe that?
So I think that was kind of crap. I on my 16-year-old budget, I took a delicious. I even got the large size with the big fries. he didn't even bother eating it. So, moral of the story: don't be nice to your stepdad.
Now, Bob, was this the Wendy's that you eventually ended up being employed by?
That I met my beautiful wife at, or I met her before, but I worked there with her. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the crack is still there.
It's a brick building, right, Bob?
It's a brick building, and you can see the crack still under the one drive-through window. But again, I'm just upset that he didn't eat the food. So the last time I ever did anything nice for him.
So did you eat it then, or what?
What was that?
Did you eat it then? The food?
No, it was gross by then. So
God.
I wouldn't have eaten it, but he should have eaten it. Out of the kindness of his heart to know that how far on the way I went to get him this. So he should have done it as his job as a stepfather to make me happy, but he didn't do it. So that kind of crap, I think.
You better just stop talking right now. He might hear this.
Anybody else have any good drive-through stories?
Yes, let's go doo-doo.
Yeah, I do. When I was working construction, driving dump truck, we were doing a job in Stillwater, Minnesota, and it was around lunchtime, and we weren't allowed to get out of the trucks and go in anywhere and get lunch. We all took the trucks through the McDonald's drive-through, and there must have been 6 or 7 dump trucks lined up in the drive-through at McDonald's in Stillwater. So of course we had to get out, couldn't fit it underneath the awning, but it worked. That's about the only drive-through story I got. It looked pretty cool.
Were the windows raised up then to where, or did you have to get out of your truck, or how did you get the food?
Well, we just swung around by the ordering thing and then shut the truck off and yelled out the window. And then when we got up to the window, we parked quite away so we wouldn't take their awnings out on the building, because we don't hit buildings the way you do. And and then we just jump out and grab our food, jump in, take off.
Nice. Bort?
Tippy, did you and me once make Bob go through the drive-through on foot?
That was at a bank.
That was at a bank?
Yeah, that was at the Wells Fargo in Grand Rapids. You thought it'd be hilarious if you made him walk up to the ATM.
Poor me.
How old was Bob at the time?
About 17.
26.
Well, yeah, my story is quick and easy. A McDonald's drive-through was just trying to get to the drive-through, slippery January, and there was a turn in the lane that would take you to it, and my car just slipped, and my wheels were turned, but my car kept going straight, and it slammed into the curb. And I can't remember exactly what it did, but it did some damage to the right side of the vehicle, the tire and the alignment and all that. So just a poor injured car is all.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to get wedged in the drive-through sideways.
No luck.
How about you, Tippy?
I don't got any really awesome standout stories, but it's just 1 out of 3 times. Every time I go through a drive-through, something happens. Usually it has to deal with messing up my order, I mean, for example, last summer, I was in Pontiac, Illinois, and I rarely get the urge to go through a McDonald's drive-through, but this day I did, So all I wanted was a quarter pounder with only cheese and pickle on it, And so go through the drive-through, I get it, pull into a parking spot, open it up, and it's got everything but pickle on it, So I go back, drive back to the drive-through. I'm like, hey, my order's wrong. You screwed it up. So I explain what I want exactly the same way I did, a cheeseburger or quarter pounder with cheese, only pickle. I go get my new, they won't take the old bag back because of COVID rules and stuff, so I just kind of crumpled up, threw it on the floor. I get my new burger, pull up in the parking spot again. It's the exact same thing. So, this time I'm furious. I go in there. And so they redo it again. I pull it out on the counter and open it up and look at it before I put it in the bag without saying a word and walk right out.
Yep.
And then it happened to me yesterday. Not the exact same thing, but yesterday morning I had to be down by Detroit for like a little job walkthrough for work, so it was about a 4-hour drive back to where I'm working now, and about halfway back, and I'm so hungry I could pass out, and so I pulled in this little town off the off-ramp or off the freeway. I'm like, oh, there's got to be something to eat here. The only place they have is like a gas station and McDonald's, like connected. So go through the drive-through, get my cheeseburger meal, only pickle, and pull over to park. And it's got cheeseburger, pickle, and ketchup on it. So
Humanity.
So being fairly annoyed, I grabbed the bag, and I wasn't going to go through the drive-thru again this time. I was going to go right in there and make sure it was fine. Well, here it turns out the lobby's not open, so I have no choice but to go through the drive-thru. And whereas the first time I pulled in there, I was like, car number 2. This time I was car number 10. So I had to wait that whole time just to get my order corrected. And
Couldn't just wipe the ketchup off?
Yeah,
no!
You know,
Just wipe it off.
When I worked at Wendy's, at the late nights, they would like have the stoner rushes come in. You get the car, like, hey dude, can I get 20 junior bacon cheeseburgers? Yeah, so he'd make 20 junior bacon cheeseburgers for him. Well, I was in such a rush, I forgot to throw the hamburger in there. So the poor people they were so hungry, and they opened all their junior bacon cheeseburgers and no meat in any of them. So that's all for that story.
funny.
All right. Okay. All right. Now, this is going to be the final question. I want to hear from all of you. If you had a vanity plate on your vehicle, what would that say? Bob.
Well, I would try to get some kind of Metallica one on there. But I think right now it'd be kind of cool to do a Warba with a 4 at the end of it. But I don't know if that'd be possible.
I think it would be possible.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure I think it'd be good, but I don't know if you can put the names of cities or whatever on there. I think you could, but so that's what I'd do.
You remember
that WRB A or something,
Yep.
Yep.
Well, you remember Dad's friend who, the old mayor of Warba, who had his mayor license plate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Let's see, Bort.
Backwards, but
I know, it's actually showing up. I knew it. I just had a good feeling about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
spent $16 on that.
They weren't out of Bort license plates, thank God.
Awesome.
All right. Doo-doo?
Hopefully you guys can, right there. N, where's my finger at? Somewhere around here. N, Joy's farts.
And Joy's. Okay. Now, I've got a play off that one, actually. I wanted mine to say, I farted, but I thought I would be a little more interactive with.
Who for?
There you go. There you go.
We're a very highbrow podcast full of
Yes,
distinct.
we are.
Indeed.
Hey, everybody does it. Everybody does it.
Some people just do it better than others.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
All right. Well, that is everything I have. Does anybody want to open anything up for roundtable or open discussion? Yeah.
I got a little story that might kind of be funny. We were when we were living in the cities, my mom and I, her boyfriend lived in River Falls, so we would go out there for the weekend, and then we were still living in the cities, so we'd drive back like on Sunday or something. Well, we had my niece's youngest daughter, and she had never been in a car wash before. So we took her through a car wash, and she's like, "Oh, the monster's going to get us," and everything in the car wash. And then we got home, and I realized that I had put our mom and myself luggage in the back and forgot about it and ran it through the car wash.
Funny.
I think that'd be a good idea getting Warba before, because this has definitely been a fun experience.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed this. I like tonight's. It was made me think a little bit, because it's like, I don't know if I have any vehicle stories. And it's like, well, I think we all got a bunch of those, but just actually having to think about them a little bit.
Yep.
Indeed.
Cool. Well, yeah, well, you guys got anything else? We should wrap her up and then have a quick little meeting after.
Yep.
Cool. I'm good with that.
Sounds good. So,
one night.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. And if you happen to tune in and stay this long, for myself, Doodoo, Bort, and Bob, thank you.
Thank you.